You. So more on the progress of nuclear talks with North Korea. Former U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Bill Richardson, will be joining us ahead in the next hour of America's Newsroom. Stay tuned for that.
Walking away, you're convinced that it's much more than just an ordinary.
You know what that means.
Yeah, not an ordinary day at all. No. Your 401k, not feeling any pain. Stock market hitting a record high. Number of Americans applying for unemployment claims dropping to about 200,000. That's the lowest level we have seen in almost 50 years. Big board right now. Check it out, up 180. That's right at 26.6 is your all-time high. We touched it last hour. We'll see whether or not we close above it. Charles Payne, host of Making Money, at 2 o'clock on FBN now. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. By the way, that's a great song and one of the greatest albums ever, Songs to the Key in Life. And I want to say this initial jobless claim is interesting because the last time it was this low was on November 15, 1969. I was celebrating my 7th birthday.
Well, that means your birthday's coming up. So
Yeah.
remember that one.
So
I'm over here doing math right now.
Don't do it, please. It's depressing. The news is great. The age part is depressing. But look how wonderful this is, right? I mean, everything is working out. The employment, the overall economic picture is absolutely phenomenal. And the beautiful thing is really we are seeing it impact everyone's lives in a positive way. I think it's amazing, great news. And if we do get back to this record and we hit it today, it will be the 100th record close for the Dow since the election. I always say we should measure presidents not on the day they're inaugurated, but the day after the election, because that's when the economy starts making moves based on who's coming into the office.
Interesting, yeah.
On election day.
Yeah, after the election, after we know who the president is going to be, businesses make moves, even consumers make moves. I've always said, and the market really starts to make moves. I've always said,
I kind of think President Trump, he governs with half an eye on the market.
Oh, sure.
He wants to know how things are responding to the decisions he's making, like the tariff issue.
He does, but here's the interesting thing, though. He didn't let the initial downward move in the markets on tariffs dissuade him from what he thinks is a bigger, greater picture, right? And here's the irony. The worst day for the markets with respect to tariffs came on March 22nd, March 23rd, when Japan said we're going to retaliate. The Dow was off. That was the lowest point. We're now up 3,000 points since the tariff war with China officially began.
All right, let me play a little devil's advocate.
Yeah, here we go.
Market cannot go up like this forever, Charles. At some point, you have to say it's going to either take a break or something's going to change. That's going to change the economic picture, whatever it may be. Can this really last? And it scares me that there's a little bit of complacency out there, that we kind of feel like this is normal.
There's no complacency, though. I use the American Association for Individual Investors as my gauge for individual investors. The biggest percentage of Americans right now in individual investors are neutral. They're indifferent to this market. On the professional side, professional money managers around the world who manage trillions of dollars are so underexposed to the stock market right now. They're in trouble. They're overexposed to the bond market. This has been a stealth rally, like I just said, and there's no enthusiasm about it. There's none in the media. This won't be on the front page in the New York Times tomorrow. So I get where you're coming from. The key is going to be earnings, Sandra.
Did they not believe it, or did they think we had the run-up and it was time to relax?
They thought we had the run-up, and they were concerned about the Federal Reserve. 3 of the 4 worst days this year. And don't forget, in February, we had those big down days. We set records for points, down 1,100 points in the Dow, down 1,000 points in the Dow. Those were all associated with central bank policy. So they were afraid of central banks and the Fed, worried about the trade situation, and worried about other things like liquidity and stuff like that.
You can always worry about something. You always
There's always something to worry about. There's no doubt about it.
You want to talk weed? What's going on with these weed stocks?
Well, they're the hottest stocks in the market right now. I had the CEO of a company called Tilray on my show on August 30th. The stock was 59 yesterday. It hit 300. Listen, I told everyone who bought this stock,
a lot, though.
Not necessarily a lot per se. It came back from the highs of the day, but it was still up 30% for the session. It was up, and it's up this morning. I asked people who bought it, who watched my show, who bought it, to, I thought it'd be smart to take profits. Anytime you make 300 or 400% on any stock, you want to take profits, but when it happens in less than a month. But I will say that it does underscore the fact that at one point, this will be a real industry in this country. industry that will generate jobs and
Coca-Cola's
billions
thinking
of
about
dollars.
putting it in a drink.
Constellation Brands, one of the biggest, if not the biggest beverage company in the world, made a $4 billion investment in the weed company a couple of months ago. Diageo, their main competitors on the prowl. Coca-Cola's considering it. So you've got states that have legalized it. Canada's legalized it. It's a big major industry, but obviously this is the hype phase, so be careful.
So you're into it. Not the actual substance. The stocks, though, you recommend them.
I wouldn't chase them here.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely not. But I do think it's a real industry. Okay. Let these things pull back, let it simmer down, and then look for opportunities.
You have to forgive me. The reason I was looking down when we were having the conversation about the largest money managers around the world and how they've kind of been left out of this stock market rally, I was looking down because I couldn't remember. And I had an interview with Jim Rogers. Who I think he lives in Singapore now. Yeah. He's a big commodities guy. Yeah. You probably know the name, Bill Hemmer. And I talked to him shortly before Donald Trump was elected. And he forecast if Donald Trump was elected president, there would be bankruptcy and war. And remember, there was a lot of forecasts like that out there. And to this day, I think he's still pretty bearish on U.S. stocks.
Yeah, well, you know, Jim is I love Jim Rogers, and he's a brilliant guy. He made billions of dollars, one of the best investors in the world. But I think a lot of people got President Trump wrong. And you know, and it's unfortunate because that means a lot of people have missed out on this stock market rally, and it means a lot of people aren't enjoying things. But I think the average person putting out the noise probably feels a lot better. They're making more money.
Put on your political hat for a second.
Yeah.
Does this translate to Republican votes?
I think it does, although not as much as it should. The irony, of course, is they're going to be victimized by their own success, right? This Gallup poll says only 12% of Americans think that the economy is important. Guess what? When President Obama ran, 86% thought it.
That's funny.
So it's no longer important.
When does 2 o'clock start?
October 15th,
okay,
baby.
right on 10:15.
Get ready to make some money.
There he is, Charles Payne.
Thanks
Check
a
him
lot.
out.
See you later.